Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and this presentation is titled, quoting from The Right Stuff, "And Nobody Knew Their Names." This is Phil Oestricher, who flew the very first F-16 flight. Now, Phil recently passed away in 2015, and he was just a great guy, and I'm going to tell you about that. I'm up at Oshkosh. There are a couple F-16 pilots up there, and they're standing in front of their airplane, and I said, well, you guys know Phil Oestricher, right? And it was deer in the headlights. I go, he was the original chief test pilot. He flew the first flight of the F-16. They didn't know it. I think it's unbelievable that somebody can fly this airplane and apparently not know the history. But then I'm one of the older way back guys, I guess. Now, Phil Oestricher had the distinction of flying the very first F-16 flight, 20 January 1974. Wasn't quite planned that way. It's supposed to be a high-speed taxi. And, you know, this is early in the development of fly-by-wire flight controls. And they had some issues with the gain on the ailerons. And you may have seen the video. They did some damage to the airplane. It's just supposed to be a high-speed taxi, but he got airborne, and then the airplane got really squirrely. And he decided it was best just to continue to take off, kind of get a feel for the airplane, come around, and land it. And then they had to do a number of adjustments to the various gains in that. Now, if you ran into Phil in Walmart, you would think he was a high school principal or something. He did not come across as a guy of his caliber as far as a test pilot. Just very nice, mild-mannered, gentle guy, and just a perfect gentleman, and very helpful. Now here's one of the famous picture of the F-16. The very first slide had Phil in front of 568, which was one of the two prototypes, and this is 567. And the poor chase pilot out there, he usually gets cropped out of this little picture that they that if you've seen some of the old pictures, this is a very common picture of the prototype, painted red, white, and blue, and some of the first flights taken from the tanker here. Now, I was working on a master's degree in electrical engineering. I was out at Vance Air Force Base with a T-37 as a T-37 flight instructor, and I'm just kind of bored. And I wanted to further my education because I thought that would be helpful. So here I am, second lieutenant in a master's program, correspondence through the University of Iowa. And I call out to Edwards, and I talk to Phil Oestricher out there. 1976. I'm still out there at Vance, and I tell him what I'm doing. I was interested in designing a very simplified flight control system for the F-16 that would get it back if it was severely battle damaged. It was I thought it was a good thing for a master's thesis, so I was working on that, and I wanted to get some information on the flight control system. So he was very helpful. Sent me a very nice note here. Gave me a very thick document that contained a lot of information and detailed information on the F-16 flight control. And it was a very basic document that just detailed the beginning work on the F-16 flight control system. And if you're familiar with the flight characteristics of the F-16, it's a naturally unstable aircraft. In fact, in about 0.9 seconds, it will go uncontrollable, and without the assistance of the flight control system, as a lot of the modern fighter aircraft now, without this system, the aircraft is unflyable. And you can actually fly an aircraft that's very difficult to fly. I'm going to talk about that in another presentation because they use a B-26 and a Lear as part of the test pilot curriculum. And they take you from various flight characteristics: pro versus yaw, adverse yaw, controllable, very controllable, flies like a bomber, flies like a 777, up to that an aircraft that every move you put in, the thing just gets away from you. Well, I was able to get a position out at Edwards in the command post, current operations. We kept the ranges running, coordinated chase aircraft, and handled any problems come up. It was a real fun job. I went out there as a first lieutenant. The two people ahead of me, both majors, were fired from screwing up. But this is the amazing confidence of somebody in their 20s that go, well, you fired guys a major. I'm a first lieutenant now, and you're not going to fire me, right? Yeah, talk about overconfidence. Well, I got out there. I got to meet Phil in person, and he gave me copies. Real nice guy. He gave me copies of his first flight manual. Actually, it's the second revision. You see that date, 20 October 1976. We're up to change 2. Now, being the fact that he was the original lead test pilot, he just would get the manual out, and part of flight test, he'd make changes in it. And the flight manual is just full of these, changes that he wrote in. That we need to change that. That's not right. Very, very interesting. And of course, they had quite a facility out there. The program was just getting started. They had just the prototypes there, but it grew rapidly. And when I was out there, I was involved with the program. I was a chase pilot. That was one of my secondary duties. I was officer in charge of current operations, but I was also a chase pilot. So I got a lot of involvement in the F-16. This is a picture taken from my aircraft where we were chasing the F-16, firing Maverick missiles, which was really a lot of fun. I was in the back seat on this mission. This was just, we were just a safety chase, so it was 2 pilots, and I was in the back seat. I was an instructor in the T-38 and the senior flight examiner also. So I'm very used to the back seat, and we're getting ready to take off with the F-16 here. And this was a refueling test. Of course, you have to make sure that the airplane, can provide all the functions that are necessary for it. And we did a lot of high AOA type of work. In fact, I was working at the command post, and we're looking through the cameras, and it wasn't supposed to depart. And I have another presentation on the high AOA test and what happened, but it departed controlled flight, and it wasn't supposed to do that. It had asymmetrical stores, which wasn't helping things out, but it wasn't supposed to do that. And Phil was recovering. I keyed the mic, and I said, I didn't think it was supposed to do that. And he goes, it's not. So we gotta do some work. Of course, like any airplane, you have to clear it through the entire flight envelope for munitions separation and stuff like that. And I flew often as lead with an F-16 on my wing, and I got criticized by flying too smoothly. They wanted me to fly more rough to simulate maybe, I guess, a new pilot or something, and that way they could test the flight controls, and they're trying to harmonize and get it, get the flight control system so it would be very responsive to the wing position. So flying too smoothly, I guess, was making it too easy. And of course, as I think we all know by now, this aircraft has had a 35-plus year beautiful history, and is still serving the Thunderbirds very well, and the aviation community, and the military. This is just a absolutely winning design, and it all started with Phil Ostriker. So if you fly this airplane, you should know who Phil Ostriker is. Enough of that. I'm getting off my soapbox, or at least my nice chair here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.